Hey, what's up guys? Chilix here and welcome to my playthrough of Witch on the Holy Night. This actually came out December 8th. But I waited for the physical edition, which didn't come out until February 10th, which is why I'm only starting this now. Because I wanted the art book, which I haven't gone through yet because I know there's spoilers. It even says on the front there's spoilers. But yeah, anyway, I am really excited to jump into it. I've heard good things. I've heard that it's a very, very beautiful game. Anyway, I'm gonna jump in. Witch on the Holy Night. Okay. I don't know who the fuck any of you are. The girl in the middle kind of looks like maybe a younger Toko. Actually, I'm gonna take my face cam off screen until I see where the best spot for it is. Create save data, okay. Yes. Oh, okay. I hate the PS4, like, saving fucking screen. Witch on the Holy Night, that's a flashbang. I have a little bit of a headache, so... Oh. So if I'm a little all over the place at times... Well, more so than normal anyway, that's why. It was a winter's day 8 years prior when it happened. That solemn morning when she understood the value of life for the very first time. Her home was nestled on the side of a mountain. Around it was nothing but inhospitable wilderness. She had no neighbors or childhood friends to speak of. Things like traveling to school or playing outside were more trouble than they ought to be. Indeed, with its pure water and bright stars, it was a place rich with memories both frustrating and halcyon. That was only during summer, though. Winters in those mountains were extremely frigid, each morning more severe than the last. Her father would drive her to the train station, after waiting 10 minutes for the engine to warm up and the iced-over windows to clear. Okay, hang on, my audio is really low. Her father would savor his morning coffee, leaving her to venture outside and rev the engine. Out the front door she would go, traversing the garden with icy breath, until she reached that old sedan. As always, she inserted the key, then started the ignition. The engine rumbled to life. Just as she proudly finished that humble task she'd done so many times before. That was an ungodly noise. A shrill scream pierced the air. She knew, even though it wasn't human, that the feeble sound was a cry of agony. A few moments passed. Her father came out and opened the hood of the car. Creaking fan belts. Oh! No! Was that blood? Bruh! Why are we starting like this? What the fuck? A monstrous looking engine. And something that didn't belong. There was a cat, a mother by the looks of it, and her 2 kittens. The 3 cats had been huddling for warmth in the engine's compartment. The mother cat was missing its head. One of the kittens had been mangled beyond recognition by the engine belts, and surely died instantly. Bro, what the fuck? Why are we starting this way? The other kitten, its face half covered in blood, panted faintly. It desperately clung to its mother, or rather, the chunk of meat that was its mother, with the last bit of life it could muster. Her father lamented their plight. The previous night had been especially cold. After he had returned home yesterday, the cats must have snuck under the hood drawn by the warmth of the engine. They had slept next to the engine, and awoken to a storm of spinning belts. Cars in the 80s were not sealed particularly well, so this wasn't unheard of.
いいんだ。が悪いんじゃないんだよ。
Okay, it's still rather quiet. Okay. Her father's voice seemed distant. She could only make out a small tuft of the kitten's gray fur. The rest of it was caked in the blood of its mother and brother. I can see its skull. I'm really glad they just have this little image with the cats in the blood rather than actually showing full detail of what's going on, because that would be fucked up. The fragile life of a speckled kitten. Trembling and possibly blind, it continued to nuzzle against its dead mother's chest.
待ちなさい。
She took the kitten into her arms and ran deep into the mountains to her grandfather's house. Why? Was it because she was overcome with regret? Or was it the shock of grief? Years later, she still wasn't sure. Fighting back the welling tears, she burst into her grandfather's workshop. Workshop, huh? Seeing as that's what Magi call their research places for magic, I'm assuming he's a Magi? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, answer my question immediately. Her grandfather was a magician who could do anything. She had never seen magic. She knew that magic was a fantasy straight out of fairy tales. But so was her grandfather. Okay. She had to find him. He was the only one who could help.
その子猫の運命を変えろという。
He sounds... I could be crazy, but he sounds like Zoken to me. I know it's not Zoken, because Zoken doesn't, he obviously doesn't live in the mountains. But I feel like it's the same voice actor that Zoken has. The cave-dwelling magician said indifferently. This kitten needs our help, she pleaded. Whether it was a simple task or a Herculean labor, her grandfather would not say. He simply granted the girl's childish wish like a machine. Oh. Yeah, I feel, yeah, I think I was told that they had like dynamic images, like dynamic backgrounds that like constantly shifted. I think like to make it feel more alive. Oh no, the girl said. Before she knew it, however, she was holding a tiny corpse in her hands. Its fur was cold. Was it gonna live and by reverse or change its fate, he killed it? Please tell me that's not the case. The warmth of life had left its body, and the tears she had fought so hard to hold back poured from her eyes. Regret spread through her chest like an endless gray sky.
トローだったな。結局元に戻すと。
Okay, no, it's just too late. Her mind struggled to come to grips what had just occurred. The last 10 minutes were a total blank. Who she met, what she had known, it was all as if it never happened. The only thing she knew, or the only thing she was sure of, was that life, once extinguished, can never return.
そこに誰かいるの？
That day, it was her mistake that gave birth to me. What do you mean by that? Indeed. Whatever occurred that day, it was a day of nostalgia and longing. This is the fairy tale of 8 years ago. The day they first met, that no magic can ever bring back. What? Okay. Arrogant, greedy, and able only to destroy. I must be a wolf. I don't have regrets. There's no looking back. If my pride has left you behind, my sincere condolences. But at any rate, I suppose it's my fate to die at the hands of Little Red Riding Hood. What? Okay? What? I'm sure there's probably meaning here that will make sense later on. Okay. So her mistake gave birth to something? Whoever was... Okay, so she asked, is anyone there? But she should know her grandfather was there, so... Did she lose her memories? And then... Hang on, let me bring my cam back. And move it over to this side. So did whatever happen, like... wipe her memories somehow, and... gave birth to a whole new person? Because without her memories, she would obviously... the experience she had up until then would disappear, so she'd essentially be a new person? Or, I don't know. I suppose it's my fate to die at the hands of Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. Part 1, Strange One. That might be chapter, I don't know, but whatever. It was a quiet morning. Oh wait, is the whole visual novel gonna be like this, where it... Oh, that might be... Oh... So there might not be a good spot for my face cam. From her bed, she could see the sky was an ashen, watercolor gray. The thermometer displayed 43 degrees Fahrenheit. A rather unforgiving temperature for November. What is that? 9 Celsius? No, it has to be less than that. That's like 6 Celsius? I don't know. Her stomach woke her up with a growl, pathetically reminding her that she had completely missed breakfast. But lazy mornings like today's were, for her, a blessing. Oh. It was already well past 8 in the morning. On any ordinary weekday, tardiness would be unavoidable. But today, classes were cancelled in commemoration of the school's anniversary. Gratefully, she had every intention of taking it easy for the first time in ages. Good for her. Outside the window was a gloomy gray, and it reminded her more of evening than morning. It wasn't a pleasant morning by any stretch of the imagination. But having been up all night until just 3 hours ago, she couldn't care less about the weather outside. All she cared about was more sleep. As long as she could spend her morning in bed, what was happening outside was of no concern to her. Hmm. She shut the curtains. Okay, yeah, this is kind of like, yeah, okay, so it's dynamic backgrounds. Interesting. She shut the curtains. Like I said, someone told me that, but I wasn't sure, like, how it would exactly extend. Then, or how it'd go. She shut the curtains, then closed her eyes and tried to let sleep reclaim her.
せめてあと2時間ぐらいは凡庸な夢を見ていられますように。
Good luck with that. Blissful slumber found her soon enough. Her consciousness faded. However, her simple request would be mercilessly refused. Yeah, that's how it goes. A faint but shrill sound lingered in her ears. It was the unmistakable ring of a telephone. Much to her chagrin, out of habit, her eyes popped open.
こんな日に限って。
Bad luck. The telephone was situated in the foyer on the first floor. Answering it meant walking down a 30-foot corridor and going down a flight of stairs. In her sleep-deprived state, that distance seemed somewhere between incredibly far and astronomically far. Oh, yeah, fair enough. The phone's incessant ringing continued. She knew the caller would eventually give up if she ignored it, but she chose to fight the urge.
Alice 出ないの?
I don't know who Alice is, but you know, maybe she doesn't want to. She thought her housemate would get it, but she soon had to abandon all hope. The realization struck that her housemate did not have the day off from school and was likely in class at a prestigious little hilltop academy. The caller proved incredibly persistent. As they do. That persistence made the volume of the ringing seem even louder.
もうせっかくの安眠を。
Yeah, people suck. Yes, we're calling about your car's extended warranty. She was left with no choice but to get up, throw a top on, and leave the room. I just dripped water over myself. I don't know how that happened. She rubbed her hands together to warm her numb fingers. The mansion's heating system was inadequate, to say the least, which meant that winter was the very worst of uninvited guests. Never more so than on a dreary morning like as this, when one didn't need to use a thermometer to know how cold it was. The mansion sat in the mountains and was surrounded by dense forest. Winter always arrived here first, before moving on to nearby towns. I might just take my face cam away for this, I don't know. The robotic ring of the telephone reverberated throughout the long hallway. The mansion's furnishings had been so perfectly maintained that it made the place feel unlived. It seemed lonelier than it did splendid. Coupled with the dreary morning, it could have passed for a haunted house.
ま、幽霊屋敷そのものだけど。
What, are you the ghost haunting it?
だいたい2人で住むには広すぎるのよ。
Oh.
この家は。
Okay. She counted more than 30 rings since it first began. The caller either had a lot of free time on her hands, or had a good understanding of the house's circumstances. She had a strong hunch that it was the latter. The window above looked out onto a gloomy sky. She hastened to catch the unrelenting ring in the act as soon as possible. Though she had a feeling that her happy morning might come to a close the moment she caught it. Yeah, that seems like how it's gonna go. It was here that a series of incidents began. Yeah, yeah, of course it is. Apologies for the lack of romance to this tale. For whether it be objectively true or merely a supposition, it's always from gloomy and unassuming beginnings that extraordinary events are set into motion. Yeah. That's kind of a theme for Type Moon, huh? Oh. Are we getting an opening? I'll just keep my face cam off until this is over. That uniform looks very familiar. It could just be a plain Jane school uniform that I've seen in an anime somewhere, but it seems very familiar. I gotta say, I didn't mention it when I first started, but I like the music so far. I like that they're taking a more like just rather than having like an anime opening like FSN and Hollow Ataraxia did. I like the fact that they're just doing almost like how do I put it? More of like a still art kind of. I don't know how to put it. Anyway, I'm gonna be quiet and just listen to music. Shout out to IURO. I don't know how you're supposed to say that, because so far these are beautiful backgrounds, I have to say. Damn, so far it seems like it's a really small team. Like 1 to 3 people on each like thing. Why does that uniform look so familiar? It's gonna kill me. That is a nice shot. I like that. Is this... No. Is this the place? It looks so much like where Garden of Sinners takes place. Alright. The rain had subsided somewhat by the time she reached the school gate. Like, okay, oh god, I don't remember where. I don't know. I'm sure that it'll probably tell me what the name of the town they're in is at some point, right? Because I want to like cross-reference it with the Garden of Sinners town. Because it looks so similar. And I swear I've seen this uniform before. Sunlight seemed to be playing peekaboo behind the clouds in the distance. It looked like it might be cleared up by early afternoon.
と言っても、私には関係のない話だけど。
Yeah? Why would the weather have anything to... Ouch. The weather reflected her luck. I see. On top of being forced out of the house at such an early hour, she had to suffer through a winter rain. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. Okay, Obi-Wan. The sinking feeling she had only grew as she passed through the entrance and headed inside. It's not good. She didn't encounter any other students along the way. Nor did she see anyone taking part in club activities either. The reception desk to the faculty room simply read, "Faculty closed." The school had given all of its students the day off. Then who called us here? Except those explicitly summoned like her. A fact that irked her more and more as the minutes passed. She opened the door to the faculty room and headed toward the desk she had visited a number of times before. The man at the desk wore a plain shirt and a suit that were nonetheless neatly pressed. Slim-framed glasses adorned his face, giving off an amicable yet cunning air. The mild-mannered image this mid-20s man presented clashed with the cigarette he smoked. He didn't appear to have noticed her yet.
Yamashiro sensei.
She closed the door with a bang. Showing no response to the sudden sound, Mr. Yamashiro lifted his head.
やあ、おはよう、青崎くん。要件は聞いているかな？
Aozaki? I'm sorry. What? I beg your pardon, sir. What do you mean, Aozaki? Huh? I'm sorry? Just continue.
はい。1時間前に自宅で事前に何の相談もなく。
I could have sworn it said. Okay, yeah, whatever. Having graduated from this high school himself, Mr. Yamashiro was not much older than the rest of the students. For that reason, the students preferred him over the other teachers. I want to hear this girl's first name, because I could have sworn it said. Again, because the one thing I did accidentally read about it is that I don't remember if it was Toko or Aoko, but one of them was the antagonist or an antagonist. Maybe I misread, and it meant protagonist, but I am confused. Again, that's like one of two things I knew about. Which I'm now questioning because of this. He always had something interesting to talk about, and kept conversations casual. In fact, he seemed more like an older student than a teacher. But she unfortunately didn't share her fellow students' fondness for him. Why? She was of the opinion that teachers should come across as more. I'm sorry. What the fuck is that word? I'm austere? It sounds familiar. Austere. Severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense for what she was going for there, I guess. Alright. Like an iron fist that could inspire both love and hate in equal measure. Not a buddy to joke and pal around with. Hey, he was the exact opposite of how she felt a teacher should be. It was only natural that her manner towards him would be forced and unfriendly. Okay? Not that she'd ever been wired to make friendly small talk.
今日もご機嫌斜めみたいだね、君は。
She seems the type to be in a foul mood all the time. I don't know. That's the vibe I get.
それは先生の気のせいです。今日だけ特別という話ではありませんから。
Called it. The matter-of-fact answer perfectly matched the displeasure displayed on her face. Okay, it's referring to her in the third person, like this entire time. So I'm assuming we're gonna change POV at some point. Right? Her bad mood from having to get up early and the tiredness from staying up late must have collectively made her look positively adversarial.
そうならいいんだけどね。彼にはそう辛く当たらないでくれよ。僕らじゃ正直どう扱っていいかわからないところもあるし。
Okay.
先生、その件ですけど、私まだ詳しい話を聞かされていないのですが。
As Mr. Yamashiro met her piercing eyes, he finally understood the reason behind her tone and slowly put out his cigarette.
電話じゃあなんて聞いたの？
I don't
転
know.
入生の紹介をするとだけです。理由も脈絡もない説明でした。
Wait, why would you need to be why would a student, one specific student, need to be introduced to a transfer student? That makes no sense. One of Mr. Yamashiro's eyebrows stood up, impressed with the brevity of her answer. He could see that she was angry, not because she'd been called to school on her day off, but because she hadn't been told why she was here. Mr. Yamashiro chuckled sympathetically.
先生、これが笑い話ならそろそろ帰っていいでしょうか。
いや、ごめんごめん。謝るよ。冗談じゃなくて真面目な話なんだ。ちょっと君の手を借りたくてね。
Why do they need a student's help with us?
本当に転入生の問題で。
Like, this makes zero sense. Like,
訳ありというか難しいというか。彼、宗十郎くんと言うんだけど、ちょっといろいろとずれていてね。僕らが案内してあげるより同世代の君の方が適任だと思ったんだ。
oh, okay. She threw him an unamused look. It was negligent of them to be pushing teaching duties on her, but she did wonder how exactly this transfer student was peculiar. Maybe he meant the student had behavioral problems or was difficult somehow. Maybe, but peculiar? She didn't have the slightest idea what that meant.
ずれてるなんてそう使わない表現だけど。
But it's gonna bother me so much, this uniform. What the hell? It almost looks like the uniform from Fate. Kind of, now that I'm looking at it head on. She had her doubts, but swept them aside for now. This wasn't the time to get distracted by more concerns. The fact remained that this conversation was all the peculiar she could handle, and she needed more information. She was already beginning to fantasize about saying no and curling up in her warm bed at home. That's what I would do, to be honest. I'd be like, no.
質問があります。
Also, can I just question for a moment, why are they focused on her chest? Like, they already showed us her face at the very beginning of the game. Like when it was loading. So why are they... Okay.
何？あ、学年は君と同じ2年生だよ。性格は落ち着きがあって人の話をよく聞くタイプ。裏を返せば覇気がないとも取れるけど、それならそれで付き合いやすいだろ。
Okay, but well behaved, good listener, not too energetic. That's good. So how is he peculiar?
青崎くんとはクラスは違うけど、きっと仲良くな。
Okay.
そういったことは本人から直接聞きますし、測ります。
Fair enough.
そうではなく、なぜ私なんでしょうか。
Though her tone was still stern, it was clear that she was smiling, or that she was. Why did I read that as smiling? What the hell? It was clear that she was willing to cooperate. She had decided to put her feelings of dissatisfaction aside and focus on the task at hand. Forcing herself to act empathetic in spite of her self-absorbed nature was something she was used to. Paradoxically, this force of will was also the reason teachers put so much faith in her. To a point. At times, that strength shattered expectation, and on those occasions, they were left with no choice but to treat it like a natural disaster and weather it until it passed. Yep, I mean, hey, if they're making her do work, they can deal with a little forcefulness at times, okay? Like that's fair.
もう一度だけ聞きます、山城先生。それで、なぜ私なんでしょうか。
Good question. Pressured by a question without a clear yes or no answer, he answered. Oh, good.
それはね。別に青崎くんが先生方に敬遠されているのと同じぐらい信頼されていて、学校のためなら教師も生徒も一緒くたに切って捨てる鉄の生徒会長だからじゃないよ。
Oh, alright.
それ以外にこんな呼びつけを受ける理由はないと思いますけど。
What, did the guy ask for her specifically? Or something? Or what? Her eyes did nothing to hide her disbelief as she glared at him. Strength far beyond that of an ordinary 17-year-old girl, coupled with the youthful beauty of one. I'm not gonna comment on that. Mr. Yamashiro let slip a genuine smile, admiring the miraculous balance of qualities.
いや、責務だけでいいなら僕がやってるさ。この人選に関しちゃ教師や生徒会長といった役職も関係ないよ。
Then what?
なんていうか、こんな頼みを損得抜きで聞いてくれるのは君だけだと思ってね。適任ですからと強く推薦したわけ。
I would be so pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I would be absolutely pissed. Like, bro, this is. In other words, he knew she wouldn't say no.
山城先生。
To prove a point, she should just say no right now and leave.
うわ、怖っ。もう睨まない睨まない。言ったろ、僕にはともかく彼には笑顔でって。とまあ納得してくれたならすぐに移動しよう。もう随分待たせてしまっているからね。それと雨の中ご苦労様。帰りはもちろん車で送るよ。
She probably wants to be far away from you, to be honest. Mr. Yamashiro stood up gracefully. Was he in the seat next to the one that's on our screen, or what? Like, I'm good, thanks, she replied before turning and walking out of the faculty room. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He'd been waiting for about an hour. Well, he did. The rain shower lightened into a drizzle. His mind wandered as he listened to the sound of the raindrops. Okay, so is it just gonna be like third-person perspective the entire game then? If we're now on him and it's still third-person? The room was filled with neatly arranged rectangular tables. He was the only one there. Quite some time had passed since he had been brought to this room and asked to wait. Even the best-behaved student might have grown dissatisfied or anxious with the situation by now, but the boy stuck to his spot like a scarecrow. He was chilled to the bone. It was the end of November, and the low temperature in the morning had marked the start of winter. The room wasn't much warmer. The heater hadn't been turned on. Either he'd missed the teacher telling him to turn it on, or he'd never seen one in his life. He breathed lightly on his freezing fingers as he aimlessly surveyed his surroundings. This dreary place was apparently a meeting room. The other students might have considered it a wonderful place to meet, but to him it was drab and overly spacious. It was a lifeless place that reminded him of an arid cave. Stuck in this cold room with absolutely nothing to do, his mind turned to what they wanted to discuss. What they wanted to discuss? Unable to come up with a solid answer, okay, no, he doesn't know either. I see. Interesting. Unable to come up with a solid answer, he returned his attention to the sound of the rain. The rain hardly resembled the rain in the mountains, though he could still recognize it, barely. Its smell and sound were harsher, but at the end of the day, rain was still rain. So even this world, alien as it was, could have something in common with the mountains. The mountains, like where the girl's grandfather lived? That trivial detail perked him up a little. He liked how the town looked soaked in rain. Naturally, he preferred sunny weather, but he liked rain in its own way. The fog from the rain had soaked up the scent of the soil, and it reminded him of home. It was at times like these that he was able to numb the anxiety the city gave him. But then he let out a discouraged sigh. How pathetic. He'd already been here 2 weeks and thoughts of his hometown still made him sad. Perhaps feeling that he was being unfair to his new life, he composed himself and continued to wait patiently. As if having a passion for distractions, his attention returned to the sound of the rain once more. Waiting like this didn't seem to be particularly hard for him. He quietly endured the numbing cold and the hour alone with calm, deep breaths. As the saying goes, good things come to those who wait. A strong point of his or not, he was astonishingly patient. It was certainly helping him out in this moment. She, on the other hand, was livid. Yeah, I would be too. Like I said before, I would not be happy. The profile of the transfer student had been explained to her on her way to the meeting room. She was told he had lived his whole life up in the mountains without any electricity. That meant more than half of civilized society would have been an utter mystery to him.
なんて絶望的な断絶。戦後どころか戦前の話じゃない。ロビンソンにも程がある。
That sounds familiar, but I don't know who that is. Again, familiar, but I don't know. She had every I agree. I would be pissed. She had every right to be angry. His village had apparently remained isolated in the mountains for many years. Contact with villages in the foothills of the mountains only occurred once a month or so, which was unfathomable in modern Japan. Although expressways and Japan Rail, the old national railways, now spanned the country like arteries, it wasn't entirely impossible for mountain villages like his to exist. But she couldn't imagine how someone born to such circumstances would think or live.
電
So that's-
気がないって村に行き渡っていないだけで公衆電話ぐらいはあったんですよね。
なかったそうだよ。こっちに暮らすようになってまず驚いたのが電話だそうだし。
Okay, them talking just ruined my train of thought. But moving on.
電話って便利ですねなんて真顔で言われてね。そういえばそうだなぁと再確認させられたぐらいだよ。
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. They are very useful. She shot a sidelong glare his way as he laughed. It seemed that the naivete of the country boy had cheered up Mr. Yamashiro a bit.
駐在もいないってことか。うちも実家は山奥ですから電気が通っていないのはありえないとは言いませんけど。
Yeah, maybe they didn't have police. I guess it's possible. Especially if it's like a small village. People probably just dealt with people stealing like vegetables out of like gardens by just... Honestly, if it's a small village, you probably just were like, hey, you don't have to steal. We all help each other out. Wouldn't be terribly surprising.
そいつ学校も知らないんですか？
Yeah, it seems...
どんなものかは知っていたそうだけど実際来るのは今日が初めてらしい。それで緊張していたのかな。あまり会話も弾まなかった。ああいうのも野生児っていうのかな。狼に育てられた狼少年みたいな。いや探検隊の話だね。
I feel like them mentioning the wolves, a boy raised by wolves, isn't coincidence with the whole Little Red Riding Hood thing earlier. Was that him, like, thinking then? Like, her mistake gave birth to me? So is she Little Red Riding Hood and he's... Who was... Huh. Yeah, she's not a fan of that joke, I guess.
怖いな青崎くん。冗談だって。そう睨まないでくれ。大丈夫。話してみた感じおとなしい子だったから。なんていうか言葉の通じない小動物みたいな感じ。
Doesn't speak human. Okay, no, I guess it makes sense. Yeah.
山城先生、その例え気休めになってませんから。
I hope she's at least nicer to the transfer student. Because, you know, this, like, I understand being pissed about the circumstances, like, why you were brought here. Like, the reasoning. But, like, it's not the kid's fault. Be as angry as you want with the teacher, but I hope she's at least nice to the kid. Or I guess he's same age as her, but whatever. As she gave her blunt reply, she tried to simulate in her mind what life without electricity would be like. But the thought of it took her sour mood from bad to worse. Maybe that's too hopeful. From me. Okay, well. After all, it was a world she'd never known. She could understand why the teachers had given up. She too wanted to give up and return to her warm bed, but her good-for-nothing pride was holding her hostage. Not only did the teachers believe she was up to the task, but she also believed she could do it. It wasn't that easy to go back on her word, no matter how bad things looked after the fact. Okay. She walked along the hallway, the rain pattering in the background. The meeting room was already in sight. With a furrowed brow, she fixed her long hair in anticipation of meeting the unknown stranger within. Her elegant strides were like those of a confident general going into battle.
いや、青崎くん。
Yeah?
君を信頼してる僕だけど、念のため確認しておくよ。なんていうか、優しくね。できれば笑顔とか作れないかな。
Really? Really? You're asking her to smile? Interesting.
作り笑いは苦手です。一応努力しているつもりですが。
I don't know. She seems grumpier than both Toko and Aoko. Maybe she's like the little sister of the two?
ああ、そうなんだ。それはよかった。いやー、ほんとよかった。青崎くんにも苦手なものってあったんだね。
Oh, that's what you were saying that too. Okay, that's... that's a bit of a rude thing to say. But... Mr. Yamashiro's shoulders slumped the second they reached the meeting room. As he puts his hand to the door, his eyes seem to say to her, "Be nice, please." This only made her more irritated.
分かってるわよ、愛想が悪いってのは。でも笑顔なんて意識して作るものじゃないんだし。だいたいそういうインスタントな人付き合いなら飛び丸の方が向いてるって。
I don't know who that is, but yeah, no, I agree with her. At like just saying, hey, I know you're pissed that we called you here and that we're basically using your nature against you, but hey, can you be nice to the person that's we're making you waste your time on? Like, don't get me wrong. I think she should be nice to the kid too. It's not his fault, but you know, I also don't think she should have to force herself to be like overly friendly. Like, you'll be nice, but you know. She sighed about her social shortcomings, but then it occurred to her that being called into school on a day off while sleep deprived wasn't anything to smile about anyway. Yeah. She also thought the person responsible for this mess would be better off attending elementary school. True, if he's really that uneducated, I don't know how well he would do in high school. That's actually a fair point. It might not be his fault, but neither was it her duty or our obligation to do the teacher's work for them. At the very least, they could have used their brains and organized all this on a normal school day. Another complaint she wanted to voice later.
いや、というか敵。なんであろうと敵。悪いけど、情状酌量以前に敵。
Yeah, again, like I said, I understand why she would not want to be overly friendly, but this is extreme. Like, come on. Like, he's not like, hey, can I see Awazaki specifically? Like, he doesn't know who you are. He's like, come on.
間が悪いのはお互い様っていうか、ほんと、なんでよりにもよってこんな忙しい時に。
Her pounding headache from a lack of sleep had boosted her aggression by 10%. Oh, so it goes from 70% to 80%? Oh, okay. No matter how harmless the guy on the other side of the door may be, anyone who disturbed her sleep was the enemy. And just as she was reaching peak annoyance, Mr. Yamashiro opened the door to the meeting room. The room slowly slid into view. She didn't care for formalities, just looked straight ahead and stormed into the room. And found herself face to face with the most unusual opponent. Okay, unusual how? But before we go on, let's see from another perspective. Turning back the clock just a little. Oh, is this when the guy gets to the school? I guess. For some, you don't have to do anything. For some, these words are a priceless luxury. For others, they are unbearable torture. For the proactive girl, it was definitely the former, though she'd be too suspicious of the motives of anyone giving her such a gift to accept it. For the passive boy, it was definitely the latter, a bitter thorn that made him homesick, though at this very moment his mind was still distracted with the wait for his face to reveal any discontent. He maintained perfect posture as he's... Wait, are those bandages? He has bandages like all around his neck. And like, it looks like going down his chest too. Or maybe it stops right there, I don't know. Like that, no, that's definitely like onto his chest. Huh. He maintained perfect posture as he stared at the gray sky. He had already waited a whole hour, but figured they must have had their reasons for making him wait. Yeah, like the person who was supposed to meet you didn't answer a phone for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And as long as he had the sound of rain to soothe him, he could keep on waiting.
でも、そろそろ9時を過ぎるのか。どうなんだろう。
He had been vaguely keeping track of the time as he listened to the rain. Due to the holiday, the school building was completely silent, except for the patter of the rain on the window. The mood felt as damp as the air. It was then he heard the heavy clatter of footsteps approaching.
よかった。忘れられているかと思った。
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate. He could hear 2 sets of footsteps, one heavier set belonging to an adult. He breathed a sigh of relief as the door slid open.
すまないね。随分とお待たせしちゃって。
The first person he saw was a man wearing glasses and an awkward smile. That's Mr. Yamashiro, the one who brought me here. Oh, it's first person now. I didn't realize. I was too focused thinking about other stuff, like his bandage.
って、あれ？里中先生いないんですか？ひどいな。話し相手になってあげてと言ったのに。
Okay. Mr. Yamashiro scratched his head, looking increasingly apologetic. And then, from behind him, with a tight-lipped expression that made it clear she didn't want to be there, a dark-haired girl with a determined look in her eyes appeared. It's gonna stop right before the eyes. I fucking knew it. Oh, see his face though. Okay. Sojiro gulped. The sound of the rain on the window faded into nothingness. That's when he knew. This was how it felt when time stood still. Okay, yeah, it's definitely not... I don't know. And, yeah, he's infatuated, right? She blinked quickly a few times as if taken aback. Why was anyone's guess? The boy was everything she expected a naive country boy to look like. However, she felt something she couldn't understand. She probably notices the bandages. His eyes widened slightly as if taken aback. The reason was obvious. Putting his feeling into words was a different matter altogether, so we will never know exactly what he experienced in that moment. That's when it hit him. He sensed he'd been touched by the hands of destiny. Uh-huh.
紹介するよ。彼が転入生の静木宗十郎くん。
Yeah, that name's not familiar. Shizuki?
で、こっちの彼女が静木くんの案内役。
Oh.
うちの生徒会長で休日を押して新しい仲間の案内役を買って出てくれた青崎青子くんだ。
That is Aoko. Interesting. Huh. I'm kind of confused now, to be honest. Because again, when I accidentally... Okay, so when I went to order this on Amazon, there was, it's like, you know, it was obviously like description stuff under the page, or under the product listing on Amazon, right? And I saw us on there was I saw something like Aozaki, I didn't remember if it was Aoko or Toko, but it said they were the antagonist, or an antagonist. So are we gonna be from his perspective? Or did I read that wrong and it is that she's the protagonist? You know, we'll see. I guess I'll see. Cause yeah, I'm confused now. Also, I guess her hair gets redder when she's older? Cause this is like brown almost. Like it's kind of red, but it's like brown. Huh. I guess I shall see. His voice and the sound of the rain seemed distant. This is how they first met. Such was their start, for better or worse, like the ephemeral beauty of fireworks. Huh.